Hi, this is BZ, and I'm here playing with Tallison. It's December 30th in the evening on the Pacific Coast, where we both are. And we're going to play a bit about the changes and what's going on, and start with, does anybody know that the United States, and it echoes out to the world, is under a state of emergency? And see where we flow from there. Hey, Tallison.
Hi there. Well, that's a really good topic. I've been watching what has been occurring since Trump let out was it the 21st, I think is when it hit,
Yep.
The proclamation that he put out. I had to read it 4 times before I really got the depth of what had happened. And of course, social media, been a lot of talk, listening to what you've had to say, with some of your conversations with Sheila and Lisa have been also very informative. What I've personally been seeing is most people are not aware that it's even occurred.
Right.
And the people that are aware of it are just slightly aware of it. And it's like they don't really want to go there because, oh my God, change. It's the resistance. It's like, oh, change. I don't really want to go. I don't want to change. I like things, everything seems to be okay. And I don't want to, because change is painful. So there's a lot of resistance to it. Yesterday was Friday, the farmers market here in town. I like to go and visit with a few of the locals. A couple of people are awakened beings, and I just kind of was testing the waters to see if anybody had even seen it. Nobody had a clue as to what I was talking about. So I said a few things. I dropped a couple of red pills, so to speak, here and there. But overall, I was quite surprised that nobody was really seeing the potential, the change that is right there in front of us. I mean, I think it's absolutely amazing.
So I was leaping up and down, and I was very ensconced in something at work. My days were over the last, on the 20th through the 26th were basically 12-hour days for the things that I was doing at work. And, so even though I was doing a lot of paying attention to the IV and everything else, there were a couple of moments where I wasn't. And someone texted me, and I called them back and said, do me a favor. I said, I'm up to my elbows basically because I was doing chef duties, and can you read it to me? And I said, yeah. And so I said, okay, cover your ears while I yippee and dance around with incredible jubilation. I said, you know what this means? And he said, oh, I think so. I said, well, this is it. This is amazing. Get out the humpets, the trumpets, and the hoo-hoopas, and the Zeus things.
Yeah.
I said, this is it. I said, the world as we knew it and thought it was over, done. That's it. And now people just have to, wake up to that fact. And, it's an amazingly fantabulous thing. And those are very pale, very, very, very pale words and energy to describe exactly what it is.
Well, it's a very exciting time, and I realized that, and I think maybe you said this yesterday or the day before on one of your videos. I heard you say that it's the people, it's human consciousness that's holding the old constructs still in place, as everything is crumbling, but it's people's beliefs and that are holding it in place. And it's so true. It is absolutely true. So everything could shift in a millisecond if people just could see what is actually laid out in front of them. The resistance is there. Fear is a big thing. People are afraid. There's so much mainstream media that is been so hoodwinked the people by this anti-Trump campaign that they've been on since he was elected, and many people, I think, are really hoodwinked and brainwashed by it, and all they can think is, oh, he's bad, he's horrible, he did this, he did that. They can't see anything but what mainstream's feeding, and there hasn't been one peep of this. Right. I don't watch mainstream media, but I listen to a lot of the ground teach. I love Jordan Sather and right. Roy Potter, some of these people that have been really putting out the truth. Mm-hmm. And
I've been doing a search since I do it a couple times a day since the late in the evening on the 21st. So by that time, when the first one I did, it would have been about 10 hours since it came out. And I keep doing it every day. And the only place, aside from what you would call alternative news sources or truthers or people who are awake or however you want to phrase it, so different channels per se in that, the only thing that's as close to one might think, and again, it's alternative media, is RT. RT is the only one I have found anything on, and that's just recently. That's only been in the last 36 hours, maybe. And Zero Hedge just recently came out with something about the same time, about 36 hours ago. Other than that, nothing. I mean, not even a tiny little, under the fold in the back door on page 85, section Z, so to say.
It's been really exciting to watch. I don't know if you've been 4chan and 8chan and Q, this yep. fellow. It's so amazing that this information's coming out. People say, well, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? They want to know. It's like, who cares who it is? I mean, this right. is real stuff. Right. This is really good information. And I love the way it's being brought out. I mean, people are calling it breadcrumbs, and that's a really good description. Right. But it's making people really think.
Well, that's the whole idea. And, if you think about it, how else would we orchestrate this whole symphony to come to a crescendo, have the last beats come down, and as they, just as my hand says, the last beats come down, and then it comes back up, and the coming back up is that explosion of life and vitality and awareness and creation. So that's really what we're in. And the only way it can happen, it has to come from all of us. We Absolutely. Are the mainstream media because we are the main beings that are on the planet. And that's, it follows suit with, as everything implodes and falls down and in creation, it comes from within. It comes from all of our connectivity to different people. It comes from noticing. So if you've had the pillow over your head, you realize, oops, somebody took the pillow. I can't, those have been banished. And now you start to slowly notice or quickly notice, even if you want to push it away, that's all changed. And so to me, there is great beauty in the design that we've all created for it to unfold the way it is unfolding. And you mentioned a moment ago about how, people can't see it or they're not hearing about it or they don't know anything, except that this isn't happening in a vacuum, and we aren't linear beings. And since we're multidimensional beings, whether we know it or not, whether we understand it or not, right? Whether we agree with it or not, it's what is nonetheless. And so our beings know what is going on. Each person's soul, each person's embodiment, which is flooding them and coming in, to various degrees and various levels of their receptivity. Keegan likes it. He says, this is good energy. I like this. Are all online with it. And what I think is really lovely about that is there are some people who are choosing to paint a little bit more doom thing. Well, oh my gosh, well, when people find out about this, it's going to be a shock, or it's going to be horrible, or there's going to be, the markets will collapse, and, on and on and on and on. And I don't agree with that. First of all, people will handle it. Beings will handle it, because they're not just people who are born and who go through life doing little things and then die. They're creator beings. And so they're being prepared in the air, so to speak, the air that they swim in, the vibrational frequencies there on the planet. You and myself and all the other millions of beings who are awake and aware and expanding that. However we would term that. Some would term it differently than I do, because their perspective is such. But it doesn't change the fact of the expansiveness that their being already is continually vibrating at.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. It really is coming out. I don't know that it could happen any other way. It's actually happening perfectly, because there's so many people that are just waking up. And it's such a shocking realization for so many of them. I mean, many of us have been waiting for this for a millennium.
Right.
It's been a long time. And the ego, who, of course, we want to be right. The human ego wants to be right. The core beliefs that we've adopted, that we've digested is, this is home. This is what I believe in. This is comfortable. And the cognitive dissonance is at an all-time high.
Yes.
But yet, the 100 monkey effect cannot be stifled. Right. It is happening. And, that's another way of terming what you just described. So as one of us wakes up, it affects 10 affects 100, 100, 1,000. You know the math. And so it's happening. It's happening at just the perfect pace.
Right. And that's why this is open this way. And you'll notice that Trump isn't playing with it at all in his tweets on purpose. In fact, his tweets in many respects it's almost like they're on two different channels or two different tracks, like one being tweeting in his account has no idea, and then the other being, part of him does. All of him does. Make no mistake about that. And sometimes he'll say something you could look at that seems very straightforward in whatever the words are actually saying. But if you tune into it, you'll notice that he's giving little hints, little foreshadowing of what is actually coming, so that there's more than one meaning to what he's saying. And it's all, I like it because much of it is very uplifting, very expansive, and I'm not political at all by design, because I actually know the truth of what that is. So, but I can see the beauty in how he's playing his role and doing it. And all the things that people can, many of the things people can point to about his brassness or bull in a china shop or this or that, the other thing, are actually serving him very well, because that's kind of his modus operandi, and he's just pushing right through all of this stuff. So it's nice to see, as you said, people looking at 4chan, looking at 8chan, and really getting jazzed by, and I don't know, some notice it, but I don't know that many notice it, that they're actually turning up their intuition, their eye tech, that they're calling forth for this information, how I find it, and it's just flooding and coming to them. That's how so many can jump so quickly and keep connecting the dots, noticing things, and jumping out and then spreading. And it is contagious, because, well, I could feel it now. It's that whole pool of effervescent expansion with the metaphor that's called 4chan, 8chan. We got to figure out this puzzle. But what it really is the expansion and the embodiment, the physical ascension embodiment of the time going on. So we're just some label it as 4chan, 8chan, and various things that are happening right now. But what's really going on is the beauty of the ascension in physical form.
It's playing out very well. I mean, I really feel that you've seen recently that this UFO disclosure that's come out a little bit. This is a absolute trying to get people distracted so that they're not going to look, to keep them from looking at what is already happened.
Right.
And they're not really giving you any real solid information. They're giving little tiny tidbits of stuff that they think will be enough to distract the mainstream people. And I don't think it's working, really. I mean, it's not working at all. No. So, but I also look at what Donald Trump has done, and I have to believe that he's getting help from either off-planet ETs or whatever you want to call them. I mean, the depth of the presidential order is so profound. I have a hard time. How can one man do this?
Oh, it's not. It's not one man. It's not. There's a whole council. Well, first of all, it's all of us creating this, whether we know it or not, or understand it or not, because we're multidimensional. So we're working on many levels simultaneously all over. But it is a whole council and circle that is working on it. And it is other beings in physical that you would look at and say, they're fully human here. It's non-locals, it's other multidimensional, higher vibrational frequency beings that may not be in embodiment or can flux, can change back and forth. So it's a large combination of all those things, absolutely. And if people remember there, like I said, I don't pay much attention to that, but there were certain key things that I would go and look for as things unfold with the election or the acceptance speech or the inauguration. I actually reposted, made it sticky for a day or so on the IUV, where you can see not only the whole video of it, but you can see his words, President Trump's words in his inauguration. I highlighted some words for people to look at because it was talk about, foreshadowing and really taking neon signs and saying, this is not your father's inauguration. This is a whole new thing. But what's happening is, as we go through all of this, we're all learning to, on various levels, come into big unity, in active forward movement unity to bring this all to a close. Because if we don't do it, so the actors that we may judge as the good or the bad, whatever it is, all those sides have collapsed. They're all coalescing into a coherence, because that's how we can finish this. We can't do it any other way. To truly finish it and have, and things are already burgeoning and sprouting and really rocketing up in the crumbling down. So you mentioned a minute ago, it's kind of like in a finger snap where the 100th monkey and it goes through. And it's almost like that's exactly what's happening, but it's almost slowed it down a little bit so you can see slow motion. So all the crashing down, and to use that picture, the rubble's crumbling and a sprout you can see a cast of green, to some of the parts of the rubble, and you look and all of a sudden there's this amazing garden and forest, and the Garden of Eden is actually coming right through all of that rubble. Yes.
It's funny you brought up the inaugural speech, because I remember listening to it when it was presented, and there was an energetic transfer of information. I mean, the words were there, but the energetic transfer was like, okay, I got it. Right. It was like, he really is going to do something different.
Right.
And it was exciting. And of course, everybody poo-pooed what he said. That was the detail, the tell sign right there of like, oh my God, the people that, you know, the deep state or whatever you want to call them. It started right then.
Yes.
You know, it started before then, but it really got serious at that point. I'm like, oh my God, this is serious. He's gonna call us all out, and he is.
It was a demonstrable signal, along with all the military representation of each military lined up behind him, and all those kinds of things were they weren't subtle. They were actually very demonstrable, very tangible, very clear, you know, kind of neon symbols and signals going on. And a big one was on the night of that he accepted, you know, the victory. He was late, and I think it was probably the first 30 seconds, maybe 50 seconds of that speech, that conversation that he had, when he came out was, you know, something to the effect of, sorry I'm late, it's a very complicated business. And that was the moment where he had been fully told exactly, you know, filled in any things that he hadn't already been briefed on and knew himself, and his own recognition from a creator being stance came through. And if you go back and look for it's fascinating in that. And then right at the next thing he says right at the beginning, he mentions how all of the military is supporting him. And so that was a two signal thing. One, it was, if you had eyes and ears to listen and see, you could see that he was saying he had the entire scoop, such as it was at that moment right then. And the signal of him mentioning, you know, the 200, that was a number, 200 military, was to say that we're in this all on full in to warn off the, you know, the elite to not come and try something to mucky it up, because we're all in this together and we're going to do it. So.
Yeah, it's an incredible. I mean, when I look at the past year, since it's almost been a year since the inaugural, it's incredible. I think what has transpired personally. I mean, it's amazing, and you know, this kind of shifts it a little bit, the conversation. But I really have to. I have gained. I mean, I've always had a lot of respect for Heather since the day one. But what an incredible being she is.
Yes.
What she has done. I mean, it was a group of people that did the OPP teaching. She didn't do it alone, and she's been very humble and gracious and giving, you know, thanks to the multitude of people that have helped her. But for her and Randy both, I can't forget Randy. Oh my God, everything that they've done, it's perfect timing. Oh my God, it was perfect timing. It was like a script that was well written, and they knew their part. They had to play it, and it just, I mean, here it is. And I think Randy should be out of that jail cell any time. I mean, I think it could happen any moment. And Heather's ankle bracelet, of course, will go away too. But what an amazing journey that has been, and it coincides so perfectly with what has happened. And I know there's probably more intermingling of those two pieces that I'm not seeing. I feel that there's more there that I'm not seeing. I sense it, I can feel it, but I can't put it to words.
Yeah, there's a lot, because everything, it really is connected, and everybody's all working together. And Heather and Randy have done amazing things, from what you see on the how would I term it, the awake and the physical, as much as I've been able to bring her and him tangible to everybody, is there. But what they would both tell you, Heather would definitely tell you, is that yes, she's worked really hard, and she's ready to, you know, go play something else. But that we have all done this together, and she is very clear on that. And that when people think they're going to sleep at night, part of them's going to sleep at night, but they are working very hard. And they are doing a lot of meetings, and they are doing a lot of orchestration, and they're doing a lot of very specific, with specificity and particularity, lots of tasks. Make no mistake about it. You know, if you listen to some of the conversation that Heather and I had, you know, along the way, along the tour, and the things that you'll hear each of us chuckle a little here and there about something that's being discussed. And part of what that is kind of all of the understories and you know, a very loving, joyful chuckle for everyone else, because they haven't quite seen yet just how big a role that they've all been playing. But they will, and they can feel it if they tune into it, and they can know it if they trust that iTech knowing. But yeah, it has been a very important and vital collaborative effort. And Heather and Randy being the predominant public face on the doings, but we would not have gotten to where we are in the speed and flow and fluidity and expansiveness to where we are, and right this moment with everything that you see unfolding. As we're talking about Trump a minute ago, and the executive order, and all the things all the revelations you see in the various sources who are bringing information, who are collecting it, 8chan, 4chan, all of that. We would not be here so smoothly and so really gorgeously if everyone had not played those vital roles. And I mean everyone had not played those vital roles in that.
Well, it's certainly been a fun ride. a little bumpy now and then, but it's been very interesting watching it. And we're in it right now. And I mean, you came on, BZ Ringer came in my radar, you know, back when you first started working with the OPPT, with the whole group. I mean, that's the first time I'd heard your name and your voice and your energy. And what you were saying about, you know, you and Heather and your conversations and your exchanges, the things that I got to hear anyway, definitely know what you're talking about. There was a lot of times when there was this little, I call it inside humor or something, you know, that was going on. I knew there was something going on, and I was like, I knew, I could feel it, I could sense it, but of course I didn't know exactly what the whole story was, but I knew it was good.
Yeah,
it was good. So what a ride, and Heather deserves to take a vacation, as she says, you know,
yes.
and go off and do what she wants to do next, whatever's next for her.
Well, what an first is sleeping and hanging with her kids, who she hasn't seen in a very, very, very long time. And
yeah, that's, I'm sure, been very hard.
Yeah.
Challenging.
Yeah. So, and Randy, you know, you heard him last night. He's ready for every hug there is out there. and keep them coming, and all sorts of other fun things to play with and be and do. So we're right there. And the other thing too is to remember for everybody to amp it up even more, to amp up your being and doing, to amp up your noticing, to amp up your inner work, to amp up all your connection, because the finish line and the leaping off to the starting line are simultaneous, and we're actually on both of them right at this moment. And we really need to put those sparkling rocket jets on our dancing shoes and dance in, so we can really really leap into, fly into this new year. 2018 is just right here. It's ushered in with a super moon, one of two in the month of January. So that'll give you, if you hadn't figured it out yet,
Yeah.
just how fun and expansive January.
Two in January and none in February.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah,
and, no, and I think a full eclipse, a lunar eclipse on the second one.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's even more powerful. Yeah, I really sense that, you know, you're calling the high intertech, the high tech. I like to call it quantum powers that we've always had, but we've forgotten. I really see all of that. I mean, it's already coming online big time for many people. Many people are getting it. But I really see that that's connected to this whole scenario that's playing out.
Yes.
It's simultaneously happening.
Yes.
So I think that's it's like icing on the cake, so to speak. No, I don't think anybody saw that. I've been aware of the quantum powers for some time. You know, they're like gifts that are never unwrapped that we've all come with, and people have just not even recognized them.
Right.
Because they've been hoodwinked with the whole psyop that's been put over humanity. Right. So it's so exciting.
Yeah, it's time. It's way past time to stop being small and let's do this. We've got this, and let's dance right into it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Cool. Well, so good to catch up with you and connect with you. And I have a sense we've got more playing down the road this way and many other ways together and with others. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's great. It's been a lot of fun. We'll talk again.
All right. You have a great night.
Okay.
Bye-bye.